share their stories and the work that they've done over with their organizations. And so as we're getting ready to start here, we wanted to just welcome you all. Put yourselves in the chat. So in the chat, if you could put in where you're calling in from, your name, your organization, and if you have any questions during the session, you are welcome to ask folks for that. So I'm going to pass it on to Haya. She's a new team member. She's a new member with Catalyst, who is on our governing council as a youth representative, and she's going to be our moderator for today. So thank you so much, Haya, and off to you.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever you are around the globe joining us today. Welcome to the Foundation Social Entrepreneurship Learning Series 2025. I'm Haya Al-Kubati, and I'm thrilled to be your moderator for today's session, which is entitled Innovative Solutions to Social Problems, which is the Entrepreneur Panel. So as we gather here, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the incredible work being done by social entrepreneurs around the globe. Today, we have the privilege of hearing from two inspiring leaders in the field, who is Lennox and Francesca. Their effort to address pressing social challenges through innovative solutions demonstrate the transformative power of entrepreneurship. Now, before we dive into our discussions, I invite you to take a moment to settle in. Let's make the most of our time together by engaging, sharing, and learning from one another. Now, without further ado, let's take start on our session with a warm welcome to our first speaker, Lennox. Lennox, can you hear me? Okay. We can, we do have Francesca here, right?
Yes, I'm here.
Great.
Yeah, sorry
All right.
about that.
Yeah, no worries. We can always start with you, Francesca. And a quick intro about you, I would like to share with the with our attendees at the moment. But I want to make sure that I want to see all thumbs up at the moment. People are quite active listening to me, enjoying the moment. I want to see first thumbs up before we can listen to our speakers. Confirmations? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, great. All right, so I would like to introduce our distinguished speaker, Francesca. So she's originally from Madagascar. Francesca is the founder of Omena. Please tell me if I pronounce it. I would love to incorporate the local dialect into this pronunciation. She is an award-winning nonprofit dedicated to ending intergenerational trauma caused by emotional abuse through social emotional education. She has a background in psychology, international development, and entrepreneurship. She specializes in mental health advocacy, integrating the SEL and psychosocial support to empower children and young adults worldwide. She is a TEDx speaker, an EcoWeek Green Fellow, and Dalai Lama Fellow. Her work has been recognized by UNICEF, Forbes Under 30, and Clinton Foundation. Warm welcome, Francesca. We cannot wait to hear from you with this outstanding introduction. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this introduction, Aya, and hello, everybody. I'm going to share my screen so that I can start presentation. Please let me know if you can see my full screen. Okay, perfect. Okay, so thank you again for having me today. I'm Francesca Raoelison, and I am the founder of Omena. And I'm super excited to share how we empower people to break the cycle of trauma caused by emotional abuse, starting in my home country, Madagascar. So today I'll take you through, first of all, my personal experience with emotional abuse and its intergenerational impact. And then I'll talk about our model, how we use the power of community and storytelling for healing, and then how this creates ripple effect that leads to lasting systemic change. So before we begin, trigger warning, I will be sharing a little bit about emotional abuse. I'll be sharing a little bit of my story. So some of the examples I share might be triggering. So please please take care of your mental well-being if needed during this conversation. So I'll start with my personal story. I'm from Madagascar. So this is where we are. It's a beautiful island off the coast of Africa. And we're the fourth largest island in the world. And we are known for our fauna, unique fauna and flora, mainly. So I don't know if there's anybody in the call who has ever been to Madagascar. But I'll welcome you to come. So today, though, I really want to talk about something that is unseen, which is the emotional scars that we carry. And this is me when I was 7 years old. So I grew up all my life in Madagascar. I grew up believing that I was a problem. I was consistently criticized, humiliated, and made to feel like I was not enough. And actually, there's one memory that stands out and that I want to share with you. And that moment is a moment that shaped me. So it was a quiet evening that was with my dad back in Madagascar. We were sitting together, we were watching a movie, and everything seemed fine. Then suddenly, this is what it yelled. So it might seem small, but those words, they weren't just words. They were part of my everyday reality, and they became like an echo in my mind, really shaping how I saw myself and my place in the world. And I still remember his tone, his words, his anger, and they just didn't hurt me. They taught me how to live in fear, to walk on eggshells, to strive for impossible perfection, to please, to try to fit in, to avoid criticism at all costs. And this became my distorted understanding of love and relationships. And later on, actually, I learned that this way is the way to express his projection, meaning his frustration, his anger and insecurity on me. All of that was his trauma that he was projecting on me. But back then I didn't know. And as I grew older, it led me down to a path of mental health struggles. I had low self-esteem, I had anxiety and depression, and I carried this trauma with me everywhere, at home, in school, in everyday aspect of my life, actually. But again, I was not aware of the impact that it had on me. So I'll pause just a little bit because I want to go back to the concept of emotional abuse. And I would like to ask you actually what comes to mind for you when you hear the words emotional abuse. And please feel free to drop your thoughts in the chat. And maybe I can, yeah, if you can help me, if someone shares.
Definitely. So Miriam says violence to her.
Mm.
Keep them coming.
Mm-hmm. What would you associate with emotional abuse, or what comes to mind? Discrimination, I see. Thank you.
Brian says it could be humiliation.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Brian. Maybe two more, and then I'll go to the next slide. Mm-hmm. Treatment that brings your emotional dignity down. Abuse. Unexpressed pain. Thank you. Thank you all for sharing. I appreciate you exchanging. So yes, emotional abuse is a form of psychological abuse We use at Omena emotional abuse, but it encompasses verbal, emotional, and psychological abuse, and it is invisible, yet it deeply damages people. So here we can see three categories: belittlement, control, and manipulation. And so emotional abuse includes repeated, it has to be repeated to be abuse. So repeated insults, put downs, humiliation, invalidation of emotions, the silent treatment, gaslighting, threats. So just to share a little bit, gaslighting is when someone tries to trick you into thinking you were wrong about things you know you were. It's tricking. Sorry, gaslighting. It's when someone tries to trick you into thinking that you're wrong about things you know are true. Okay. So again, this has to be repeated, and it's a pattern that erodes self-worth and creates invisible wounds. So here, I just share a very high level that at its root, if we're speaking high level, again, emotional abuse stems from systems of oppression. So in the case of Madagascar, it's colonialism and patriarchy. And there are a lot of systems of oppressions that create collective trauma impacting an entire community. But in this case, again, for the case of Madagascar, only that I'm focusing here. And that can create intergenerational trauma. So passing that trauma down from generation to generation, and literally that can be found in our DNA, the trauma. And all of that turns into self-denigration, and that internalized voice becomes our own voice at the personal level. So in the context of Madagascar and globally, there is 84% of children who are experiencing abuse, and that's just the reported cases. So there are more than 10 million children who are experiencing emotional abuse growing up. And around the world, there's 1 billion children experiencing it. So when emotional abuse feels normal, because in a lot of cultures like mine, it is normalized. You walk down the street and you see parents yelling at their children, or couples fighting, and that makes it that the cycle continues. And if we don't have the words for it, we're more likely to repeat it. So here I'm going very fast again. It's a very high level, but I wanted to give you a little bit of insight into the problem before sharing about the way we have been breaking the cycle. So touching just a little bit around the consequences of emotional abuse. Emotional abuse doesn't just affect someone in the moment. It has long-term consequences that impact our mental health, our physical health, because those emotions and trauma, they are trapped in our body and they can turn into physical pain, like headaches or chronic pain and all of that. This type of consequences, they impact our relationships and on all of the different levels and even the entire society. So here are just a few of the consequences of emotional abuse, but all of that combined made me realize that I wanted to do something about it, and that changed everything for me. So a few years ago, I shared my story in a video. I talked about my vision, and I talked about emotional abuse and my story. And I didn't expect much, but that video was shared massively because it resonated not only with people in Madagascar, but it was shared in 13 different countries, including the US, Brazil, India. Uh, there were a lot of different countries showing that this is really a global issue. And that video, it became the seed that grew into Omena, which is a movement that is dedicated to breaking the cycle of emotional abuse and creating a community of healing. So our name, which is in Malagasy, Omen, is a play on words. So Omena, the entire word means give, provide. And Mena, the second part, means red. So we don't have red flags in Madagascar. We use red cards to say, like, no to violence, and which is also a sign of a warning sign. So our mission is built in our name. We give people the tools to recognize red flags in unhealthy relationships and violence and to break the cycle. And here is how we do it. So first of all, we recruit young adults as community educators. So they become the catalyst of change. They go through our mental health and violence prevention training, where they learn about the signs, the causes, and the effects of emotional abuse. And then they gain the social emotional learning tools. So social emotional learning is basically the language of emotions. So it's understanding what's happening inside of us, what are emotions, what are the needs behind them, and how to validate and release those trapped emotions, and how basically we can do that while keeping each other accountable. So that's the first part. The second part is called community of practice. So they join a 6-month support group, which is a safe space for healing and behavior change. So that's where they practice setting boundaries, validating emotions, and having difficult conversations when holding space for each other. And the ones who attend all of the different sessions, they become community educators. They graduate and they go on to raise awareness in their personal lives, in their communities, reaching at least 50 people each in their relationships and in their community as well. And those educators, they go on and they work with the schools that we're partnering with, where they introduce our social emotional learning curriculum. So this curriculum teaches almost the same skills that we use to train the educators, but it's basically for children age 6 to 12. So our educators are young adults, and they are future parents, they are educators and also decision makers, and they really ensure that the cycle of abuse ends with them. This is our theory of change. So again, we start with the community educators. They are empowered to make a change, and they start in their relationships at home, and then through our collective action, they go on and really try to raise awareness around the issue, but also share the different tools that they learned. And they go on in the community, and in the longer term, we are hoping to have stronger emotional well-being, which will lead to happier, healthier, and a more productive youth. And in turn, we hope to create a lasting change in their relationships, their community, and the entire society. Because we've seen that when people understand emotional abuse, they begin to see the impact of this issue everywhere. And educators, they start sharing their knowledge, not only in their personal relationships, but in schools, in families, in the workplace. And we just started providing our training to teachers and parents as well, because they have seen the impact of our work, and they are recognizing that emotional abuse is real. And most importantly, we have seen the change within the educators themselves. And as they work with the different people in their lives, those people also see the change, and they start reaching out and want to join the movement as well. So to date, we have trained 315 community educators. We have reached over 5,000 students, and 100% of them recommend our program. We have also reached over 1 million people through our online campaign of awareness. And here are also the change of behaviors that we are measuring, from emotional regulation to how people start to use the skills to become more resilient and to cope with the different, I would say, challenges in the different relationships that they are in. So I want to finish with this image to bring it back to my own story. So this is, first of all, the way we are trying to break the cycle. If you see here, the lightning, that's where we want to be. We want to break the cycle and provide people with the tools so that we can have a healthier and a more empathetic generation. So going back to my story, I showed my dad a video about emotional abuse a couple of years ago, and I asked him what he thought about it, and he said that it was wrong. But then when I asked if he realized that he was doing it to us, he lashed out. And I was disappointed. I thought that nothing would ever change. But a month later, after talking to my mom, my dad actually surprised us. He came to my brothers, my mom and I, and he apologized and he said that his dad did the same thing and that he had simply repeated what he had learned. And that apology was the start for him for his healing process, but also that started improving the dynamics in our family. So since then, I've seen emotional abuse as a wound that if it's left unhealed, it really festers and it spreads to the next generation. And if we get to heal the wound at its core, we get to break the cycle of intergenerational trauma for good. And breaking the cycle of abuse isn't just about individual healing. It starts there, but it's about it's about really shifting entire systems. And just to share about what we're working on right now, we're trying to continue in terms of our education, our community, and the systemic change. We're working currently with the Ministry of Education in Madagascar to integrate our social emotional learning into the national curriculum. And we've started expanding into other regions of Madagascar and provided support for other organizations in Africa as well, because again, this is a global issue. And right now we're partnering with organizations and companies to bring mental health and violence prevention training into their models. So generation by generation, through conversations like this one today, we get to change the narrative, and all of that has the potential to change the world. So thank you so much for being part of the conversation and for having me today.
Thank you so much, Francesca, for sharing such an inspiring story. You just inspired everyone in the room at the moment. And I recall attending one of your sessions over to Catalyst now, and I can see each time that you keep talking about such personal problem and how enlightening you have turned this such pain into an inspiring story, to incorporating, school curriculums, to having, from family wise, becoming aware. It's not about, accusing our parents for things that they have never done or they were not aware of doing, but rather to spark the conversations between generations, as you just mentioned. So you try to break that, let's say, intergenerational trauma and make sure that we don't pass it to the next generation. I'm super inspired, and I think I'll be inspired for a couple of months ahead. I will open the floor from the attendees to ask you a couple of questions, but at the moment, we would switch back to our next speaker, who is Lennox. Lennox is here, and I would like to provide an introduction. Thank you again, Francesca. So about Lennox. Lennox is he is the CEO and founder of the Ecobana Limited, which is a social enterprise that manufactures biodegradable sanitary pads using banana fibers. Wow, right? Lennox's journey towards founding Ecobana Limited is a testament to the power of entrepreneurship in driving positive social change. Through his visionary leadership, the company stands as a beacon of hope, illuminating a path towards a future where menstrual hygiene is a right, not a privilege. Lennox, if you hear me and you can open your camera and mic at the moment, we would love to hear more about Ecobana at the moment. All right, great. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you so much for that introduction. I'm truly humbled and happy to be part of this conversation today. My name is Lennox Omondi. I'm the founder and the CEO at Ecobana Limited. We're a social enterprise that manufactures right-sized, cost-effective, and hygienic biodegradable sanitary towels using banana fibers in Kisii County in Kenya. So can I get the next slide? Right, so this is our story, and I would like to just quickly summarize it in a very short time. So my journey founding Ecobana Limited started way back in 2020. This is a time when the schools were closed down and a couple of youths, myself included, we were just at home. And as I was sitting on our couch, the late Professor Magoha, who is the former Minister of Education, was releasing the results of class 8 students. And shockingly, about 2/3 of the girls who sat for the examinations that year did not get to finish their classes or their exams. And to me, as the person who was watching this news, it didn't have much impact to me back then than it did few months later, because I didn't know more what are pads and what is the connection between pads and girls missing school, or what is that correlation, and I needed to find that out. So when I went to Twitter, Twitter, people were writing all these sorts of information about how the government has not been giving girls menstrual products, and I did still understand, like, what is really the connection between girls having a menstrual product and going to school, because the only knowledge I had about menstrual cycle or anything close to pads was back in United States when I was being taught about the menstrual cycle for the first time. And so I took an initiative to start doing more research on what are pads, how are they made, what is the problem, why are girls missing school, and others even ending up dying because they're being period shamed by teachers. And I reached to a point where I had known that girls do suffer from what is called period poverty, which is the inaccessibility of menstrual products to many young girls and women across the world. And particularly in Kenya, we have 65% of the Kenyan girls and women who don't have access to menstrual products. And I said to myself, what can I really do as a young person who is just venturing into entrepreneurship and building a startup? So I joined a couple of groups or platforms that were pioneering student-led initiatives and business initiatives by students in the university. And I particularly joined Enactors, and Enactors really shaped how I looked at a problem. And joining Enactors helped me to get that business mindset and also being able to build up a startup. And so started doing my research, and one day during a think tank, as everybody would come to a session, they introduce themselves, then somebody asks you, oh, and what are you doing? And so most people were mentioning the things that they were doing, but myself, I said, I'm a student, I'm a final year student, and I'm just here to listen, to learn what you guys are doing. I don't know anything related to business or related to building an enterprise. It's my first time hearing the word startup, my first time hearing the word social enterprise, so I'm just here to learn. And somebody said, so what are you working on currently? And I said, I'm just doing this research on pads and how we can make new pads and bring them to the market, because the conventional sanitary pad in the Kenyan market are 91% plastic, which is an equivalent of 4 plastic bags in just one pad. And that is why most oftenly girls will complain of itching, burning, or the irritation effect that they get from the conventional menstrual products. And so being in a pool where I was able to learn more about sustainability and from people who really started championing for that cause, I decided to look for an alternative. And I said to myself, I cannot be an NGO because over 150 NGOs exist in Kenya, but still the problem of period poverty still exists. And so I said, if charity isn't enough, then maybe business is enough. If I would be able to create a social enterprise where people are able to create a product for themselves by themselves, then I would have solved a particular problem. And so we identified together with my team, did our research with a group of founders from the UK called Impact Founders. And out of a couple of research that we did, we arrived on a decision that banana fibers, because it's abundantly available in Kenya, the raw material would not be difficult to get. And banana trunks usually there's untapped and underutilized resource that is supernatural and just left immediately after the farmers harvest their fruit. They just leave the trunk to rot to the ground. Some would feed it to cows, but then that is what we saw as something that is potentially poised to solve this global challenge and eventually be able to, if not to revolutionize an entire sanitary pad industry, but potentially create a new industry as well. So in 2022, we got an email from the Haya Al-Kubati Foundation, which was more over there. It was more like an invitation inviting global students around the world to come up with innovative ideas that can help bring the world back to work. So the main catch was, are you a student? Do you have an initiative or a startup that is solving one of the global challenges? And you'll be able to create employment opportunities for 2,000 people by 2024. Then we said to ourselves, we're not so sure about creating 2,000 employment opportunities by 2024. What we are sure about is that the solution that we are bringing to the world, the solution that is addressing a global challenge. So we joined the Helpers Foundation, took part, and we joined in January 2022. And in September of 2022, we were announced the winners of $1 million prize, which was awarded to us by the former president of the US, as you can see in this photo down here. Yes, so yes, yeah. So that is us. We got $1 million from the president. And as this old adage is usually said, who much is given, much is expected. So we came back to the country, and now we were faced with this challenge of bring the solution to the world. It's every time as entrepreneurs we will have a well-pampered slide deck with a lot of information on how we're going to do great things. But then when you get to the ground to do the work, you find some things are not working as expected them to work. And so we spent about 7 months in 2023 designing a fully automated machinery with a Chinese company called Weldon. And the machinery that we were designing is a machinery that is using banana fibers to make pads. And as I'm speaking currently, we have installed that machinery in our facility. It is a fully automated standard pad machinery that has the capacity to produce up to 200 to 250 pads in just 1 minute. So I did post some of the videos of the machinery on my LinkedIn and my Instagram handle at Ecobana as well, and my personal social media handles as well. So we brought that into the country, and we were able to now be able to turn banana pseudostems into pulp fibers, and then we use that to make satellite towels. Next slide. Right, so this was last year in October. We had invited the former ambassador of the US to Kenya, High Excellency Meg Whitman, together with Simba Rati at our manufacturing facility. So we took, after taking 7 months in 2023, building a manufacturing facility to manufacture the product, and also taking time to work with engineers to bring a machine into life. We also built our own manufacturing facility. Since rent was expensive in Nairobi, we decided to go to Kisii County, where there's an abundance of banana pseudostems and banana crops as a whole, and so we get banana pseudostems. So we work with farmers. Yes, so we work with farmers, and we have a program for the farmers. If you're a registered farmer and we have you on our database, you'll be able to bring your banana trunk to the facility for processing. We'll weigh it and weigh the fibers that it will get. And in turn, as a company, we give the farmer a small amount of money as a token of appreciation for them to continually build farm the banana trunks or the banana fruit as a whole. And then we also educate them and give them the right methods of planting or which type of banana to plant so that we can get high yield of the banana, of the fibers, because the fibers are the main part of the absorption. And if the absorption of the fiber, or if the absorption of the pad is bad, it means the fibers that we got were of low quality. So we make sure that the farmers that come to the facility get also education and tips on how to go and plant, which manure to use, and also just to know how to plant their bananas. Yeah. Next slide. Yes, so this is our manufacturing facility in Kisii County. This is our reception. This is our products down there, the reception. Don't know if I'm able to find. Let me remove the blurry background. How do people remove it? Yeah, so this is these are our products. This is how they look like. These are the parts look like. Yes, this is how the parts look like. And this, we have been certified by the Kenya Bureau of Standards. This is the Kenya Bureau of Standard mark. We got our verification just before entering 2025. We took our products to the Kenya Bureau of Standard. We went to the lab test. They were certified that actually these are 100% fully biodegradable Kenyan-made sanitary pads. And we are the first company in Kenya to manufacture in the country 100% biodegradable sanitary pads. And so this is our manufacturing facility in Kisii. This is our reception. And up to now, we have been able to employ 24 full-time staff who work in this facility that you're seeing. We also have around 7 volunteers who work with the farmers to help collect the banana trunks in different parts of Kisii County and Nyamira and Migori and its neighboring counties as well. Next one. So these are a team in action. This is a team that is manufacturing. This is the team that is packaging. So out of the 24 that I've just mentioned, we have 15 young women. As you can see, I did try to get photos that has at least everybody in the picture, but I didn't get all of them. So we have young women who are working in packaging sector. They're the ones that package these products after they've been manufactured from, they've been processed from the machinery. They're the ones that do package them. And yes, next slide. So yeah, so Ecobana is making 100% fully organic and biodegradable sanitary pads. And right now, I would like to talk about our traction. Apart from that tremendous journey of building an idea to life and to reality, we have also done some tremendous work in terms of going back to the community. What we did, we did a questionnaire and realized that not so many girls are able to buy a whole packet of this. And so we came up with a solution and said, what if we bring an initiative or an ATM? So we have an initiative called One Pad, One Girl Initiative. This is our initiative, Ecobana One Pad, One Girl Initiative. And in this initiative, we have something we are calling a pad ATM. So I don't know if you can see down there, we have a pad ATM. And what we are doing with an ATM is we have an Ecobana pad ATM, and the way it's working is if a lady or a girl cannot afford to buy a whole packet of this, they'll be able to get one pad, like one piece each. And what they can do is just to insert a 10 shilling coin in that ATM, and they choose a rack where they want to take the pads. We have 3 racks in that ATM. You choose a rack, insert a coin, a 10 shilling coin, and then one pad is going to come out. So that is one initiative that we are piloting. It's called the One Pad, One Girl Initiative. We just launched it on the 14th of February last month, and we are installing these pad ATMs in high schools and universities. But what we are doing in the villages, in rural communities, is we also have the same pad ATM, but then you have a chip card, and it allows the lady, for example, if we get sponsors or we get people who want to donate in kind, and they tell them we have a school that we are supporting of 200 girls, and not all the girls have access to menstrual products. We'll be able to support the 200 girls with a menstrual products that can last them up to 6 months. And then if the answer is yes, as Ecobana Limited, we do manufacture and take the products to these young girls monthly, and we ensure that each and every girl in that school and that community have gotten their menstrual products. And right now we are working with NGOs that do buy our products in bulk, NGOs, CBOs, individuals. We have gotten tremendous feedback from the people who've used our products so far. And if you'd like to be part of what we're doing, if you'd like to be involved in our journey and what we are doing at Ecobana Limited, you can visit www.ecobana.co.ke, or you can send me an email to the one I'm putting on my chat box right now, and we'll be able to connect and help end period poverty in Kenya, and Africa as a whole. So the main aim of the company is just to, we are trying as much as possible to ensure that we have remained true to the vision when we first started the company, which was to end period poverty. And I think as a company, we've been very dedicated to do that one step at a time, not taking it too high, not taking it too slow, but we are coming up with ways in which we think are working and ways which we think are modern solutions to this particular problem that we are facing as a whole and globally. So thank you so much, and back to you, Haya.
Thank you so much, Lennox. I don't know if that's just a coincidence, or is it because the International Women's Day is approaching, we can see many inspiring work, either women being entrepreneurs or other entrepreneur, let's say, projects that is help, to end the period poverty. I'm super, let's say, I'm not sure what's the descriptive word to say, not only inspired, but also I understand the root cause of girls missing school because of period poverty. The education system being disrupted, poverty in some countries, as you mentioned, because how expensive pads could be. Other aids could be they could get the pads, but still they're like non-reusable, and they're not I would say environment friendly. So we have to tackle another challenge that just arose. So this is to create something that is biodegradable, to all fit to international standards, had some innovative ideas from ATMs to creating jobs. This is truly inspiring that it takes only one entrepreneurship idea to change the world, specifically when it's tied to local challenges, when it touches people and involves people. The girls that you said they're 100%, they're 24 hours, dedicated by the idea, by the work. We can see the impact, and just this small idea, how it can change the world, could end period poverty. It could support more girls to go to school. It could create more job opportunities for girls, for people like, let's say, in Africa and other third world countries, like the one I belong, Yemen. It's truly inspiring, Lennox, and it's such distinguished speakers. Again, I would like to open the floor for questions, a couple of questions I would take. So by raising hands or by typing in the chat, is there anyone that you would like to ask questions, whether to Francesca or to Lennox? This is the time to ask. Yes, no, maybe. I can see in the chat that many social problems are deeply rooted in systemic challenges. How does your solution tackle the root causes rather than just the symptoms? I would like to forward the question to any one of you, or I can choose. I can see Lennox is smiling. All right, I would take your answer, and then I'll switch back to Francesca. Go ahead, Lennox.
All right. So, all right. So we, as Ecobana Limited, right now, I would say we are not in a position to influence a policy, exactly to have the powers to influence a policy, but we have taken part in a lot of this policy making roundtables, and we have submitted our ideas and thoughts to change the system, or to ensure that girls do have access to menstrual products. There's a lot of things that happen in between when the government approves the pads to go to the girls, and then they don't get to the girls themselves. And so, to that particular point, as a company, there's nothing we can do, because it's individuals who don't make sure that those parts get to the women or to the ladies. But how we are tackling its root causes is, giving an example, we have a program we're calling Male Inclusion Program, and we went to the community and realized that the reason, particularly, for example, there's a community that that the elders told us that ladies cannot sit on the same table and eat dinner or lunch or any meal with people together when they are on their menses. And then we're asking their mothers, what do you have to say about what the elders have told us? And then they just said, it's the ways of our forefathers, and that's how it used to be. And then we have to tell them, no. That is an archaic way of looking at menstrual hygiene practices. And then we had to form this menstrual hygiene 101, where we have roles of men in maintaining or ensuring that girls have high or clean or hygienic menstrual hygiene practices. So we just talk to men, teach them what's their role, what are they playing, why are they important in changing some of these rules or some of these beliefs that communities are having. So that is, I would say that is one of the ways we tackle root causes of the problem rather than its symptoms, because when the leaders in the villages are accepting the change, we are able to now come and even give this menstrual product freely without anybody saying, in this community, we've never agreed or we've never used a menstrual product. So all the ladies that come from this community will just be sitting on soil and not using a menstrual product. So that's one of the things we try to do to ensure that we tackle the problem with its root causes. Yeah.
Thank you, Lennox, for your answer. I can see a couple of hands are raised. If Francesca, you want to answer the same question, or I can take a question from the floor to you. You choose.
Yeah, I can just like go off of what you just shared, Lennox. It's similar for us in terms of changing mentalities. That's where I think we're trying to start by addressing the root cause. I shared the high level causes of emotional abuse because of systems of oppressions, and it doesn't it takes an entire group of people to buy into those it's called dominant narrative. So dominant narrative is a narrative that the majority of people is buying into, and it's societies that are creating those type of narratives. So the narrative around why there is a normal and whatever is not normal would be more likely a subject to emotional abuse. So those are creating those systems of oppressions where there is one majority that would be more, I would say there's an oppressor and an oppressed, but we're trying to make it so that the conversation comes from a place of empathy. And I know that it's easy to say it that way, but coming from a place where our trauma, we're understanding our trauma, we're trying not to project that on other people, trying to accept ourselves as we are so that we can accept others, other people as they are as well. It's very deep, but I try to like make it easier. But the change of mentality, that's what we're trying to start with. And we're trying to start with the youth because they're future parents. But as we continue our work, we are including other stakeholders such as the Ministry of Education, such as other decision makers, so that they are aware that this is a problem and we can get to change the narrative together.
Absolutely. All right, so I do see a hand is raised. Mr. Jonas, if you want to unmute and ask your question, please.
Thanks, Lennox, and thanks for the good work you're doing. Quite impressive, the journey. Impressive in the sense that it's a short time and you're able to achieve so much. The same with Francesca. The first question I want to ask both of you, what was the most difficult decision you had to make to make on your journey, which was very critical for your business, And the second question is now, okay, for me, it's always great joy to see young people embracing social entrepreneurship and finding solution for, the very innovative solution to problems. And what are you doing to inspire other young people? Just to tell you, I've canceled my class to allow my students to be in this session to listen to you. So, yeah.
Lennox, you want to start?
Francesca, you understood?
Oh, okay. I can take this one. The most difficult. I don't have anything that comes to mind right now, but I would say to choose to continue. I think it was hard. It was just like knowing that maybe I didn't know what I didn't know, but still continuing to seek and learn from people. And I think being persistent. I don't have a specific answer in mind right now, like a specific event, but I know that throughout the journey, it was not easy overall. And there are times where there is no funding. You get the no's from, especially grants, because we're a nonprofit. So it's just like telling myself, it's okay, there's someone who's going to be in alignment, and we're just going to continue. And if it happens, it's meant to be. So I think it's pushing forward despite of all of the challenges, the no funds, not knowing if what you're doing is actually making sense. It's believing as you are doing it and kind of building the plane as it's basically flying. And yeah, I think that would be for me, I would say, and getting out of the comfort zone to learn things that I might not be very comfortable with. Yeah. Maybe when Lennox is gonna share, I might have some insights, but right now that's overall what I have in mind. And in terms of giving back, I do mentor other students. So part of my journey was that, again, not knowing what I didn't know, I was seeking a lot of support in terms of going through incubators or accelerators, like Lennox shared. Like I didn't know anything about social entrepreneurship. And there are a lot of opportunities that either is while you are in school. So in my case, that it was at school. It was also outside of school. There's one called Mass Challenge right now. I'll try to put the link as we go, but there's one called Social Enterprise Greenhouse as well. They take international applicants, and they also really support social innovation. So a lot of my first learnings were there. And then accelerators is where you start to have almost the basic concepts, and then you start accelerating your learning and how you're growing your work. So I've done a lot of them, like accelerators and incubators. And then I graduated from them, and I would mentor other students going through the same thing. So I think that's my way to share about my experience. It's also through conversations like this. I do speak at different schools as well here I'm in Rhode Island, Providence, but also in Madagascar. And I also mentor students through the Clinton Global Initiative, which is also another incubator if you know about it. I'll try to put the link as Lennox speak, and so that you guys can learn more about some of those opportunities. But it's looking and trying to also talk. And also maybe one of the things that was very helpful for me was during one semester at school, we had this, I could basically craft one of my classes, and I created my syllabus, and it was to talk to 50 founders. So 50 people who have created their enterprise or their nonprofit. And then that was my homework, to talk to each one of them and ask them questions about how they started their own journey. And from those insights, I kind of learned from them and what mistakes they have made and what I'm trying to adjust based on that. So it was trying to fill in the gap of what I didn't know, basically. That would be my theme, I think. Yeah.
All right. I think personally to myself, the hardest decisions I've ever made. I've made a lot of hard decisions ever since we started the business. If I would narrow down to one, I would say, I think when I chose to skip school a little bit, work on the business, it was a risk. I think it wasn't a challenge. I looked at it as a risk, and I said to myself, "This is the last year of school. So if I choose to focus fully on Ecobana Limited, it means my graduation is going to extend, and my parents are not happy with that particular thing. Myself, I was just gambling. I was just saying, it's $1 million on the line, and I also believe in the solution I'm bringing to the world. I also want my degree as well. So I think that was the very hardest. It took me a month to make that decision. So I'll say that was the very hardest decision I've ever made. But then I think it paid off because I was also able to go back real quick, and so I was able to go back real quick and finalize my education as well. And if I would say some of the things I do to mentor others, I do have a lot of young people in my community that I mentor, talk to, not so many times, but every time I find time or I have an opportunity, I do send, and they do get to be part of what's happening. I'm also part of the Clinton Global Initiative for 2024 cohort, and great avenue. And I did share about my learnings from the CGI annual meeting, being my second time attending it. Apart from that, I do talk at a lot of conferences. If I get invited, and I go and meet students, I meet entrepreneurs, I meet young people who are building ideas, just like myself. And yes, Debbie, thanks for sharing. I'm also part of Change Maker Exchange, and great platform, great platform. Global Shapers, Enactors, Hard Prize, and there's so many more of them. I don't know why I can't remember them right now. And there's so many. So basically, what I just do is I do just offer help to anybody who reaches out to me. If it's an entrepreneur building a business and I'm able to help them with either the contacts that I have or with the knowledge that I have, that's what I usually do. But sometimes somebody asks me something in IT and I don't even know anything in IT, just tell them, not the right person you've approached, but I might know somebody who might be able to help you. So try to connect people, and then they get help. So yeah.
Great.
Jonas, thank you.
Thank you, Lennox. Professor Jonas, well, you surprised us by calling off the class for your student to attend. So we hope that our panelist has answered your questions thoroughly. I would take one more question, which is...
Actually, why don't we go to the, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, do you want to go to the breakout room?
Sure.
Because we do have a couple of questions for all the attendees, and then you could join as well, and you could ask them the questions during the breakout rooms.
That's good.
Great.
So you should see the breakout rooms coming in. We'd love to have you get the opportunity to talk one-on-one with Lennox, Haya, and
I'd like to ask the other rooms if someone can volunteer and share a couple of takeaways from their breakout room. Please feel free to raise your hand. This is the moment to do so.
I know in our breakout room, go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, we can see Michael or Michelle. Please unmute and talk.
Yes, thank you. In our breakout room, we saw that yours truly now speaking is that I have a business idea that is almost close to what Lennox is doing, adding value to pseudostems from banana and making paper. Paper that is biodegradable and all the other benefits that Lennox spoke about, perhaps almost everything. So we would be doing our project in Meru County. Is also another catchment area where we have a lot of banana, and the banana waste now becomes our resource, and we want to empower communities there and see whether the value addition bit, because farmers don't earn a lot from the banana fruit as well. And once we do value addition, then it brings a lot of economic empowerment. And there is a whole lot, and Debbie, you are aware, you also informed us that there is a capability of, besides making the towels and paper, there is also hair, there's also fiber for the traditional solutions for different rope uses. I'm sure all of us having an African background, including you, Debbie, I'm sure you will be aware that women and some context around the home, you require a lot of fiber and ropes. So all that and many, many more are around the banana. We should be able to get partnerships. Lennox, once we have excess fiber, we see whether we could supply to you, and so forth and so on. Thank you.
Great. Perfect.
Thank you for sharing. We can see it's more like a collaboration space. Moving forward, I would like to take the opportunity to share a couple of words about the Youth Collaborative Group. So if you're actually a member of Catalyst, by now you should know that there is a Catalyst Youth Global, which is a new initiative dedicated to actively involving and empowering youth within the Catalyst Now movement by amplifying their voices, leveraging their insights, and connecting them with organizations working in the youth space. So this initiative recognizes the youth perspective are essential for driving social innovation and shaping the future. All right, so as you can see, the key objectives of the youth engagement is engage youth in Catalyst collaborations, value the youth voices, expand membership, and provide spaces for innovation. Now, engage in Catalyst Now collaborations, as I mentioned, but mainly also to support youth-led social ventures and connecting youth organizations. Since we were running out of time, I would love so I am the one of the co-chairs recently in the representing, let's say, the youth in the with the like governing council, alongside with one of my colleagues who is Andrea's. Something I would kindly request, since if you want to know more about the Youth Collaborative Group, the initiatives, please do reach out to us, because we are aiming to establish a consultation call to know the priorities of youth within the Catalyst Now movement. So this is just a brief reminder that there is such space where you can express your priorities, thoughts, and whatsoever. And I would like to pass the floor now to the team to give us a couple of insights minutes. Go ahead, Debbie.
Great. So we just wanted to launch our poll. We love to get the feedback from the session. So if you could all take a moment and fill out the poll questions, they're pretty simple. Also wanted to share with you upcoming sessions that are happening. We're right in the middle of our AI for Social Ventures series. So the next session coming up is on March 13th on transforming business models with AI. And the learning series, The Foundations of Social Entrepreneurship. That one, the next session for that is going to be on design thinking. It's actually the third week in March. So apologies, that date's actually not updated. If you're looking to fundraise for your social venture, we have 2 more sets of fundraising series. Tomorrow on the right here, we have the fundraising self-identification session, the Building a Strong Funder Relationships on March 25th, if you'd like to join us there. And on the left there, our next session that's coming up is on March 5th. As well, April 5th. Know your organization. There it is. Develop your communications and branding strategies. We have so many things going on, we can't keep track of them all. So in true Catalyst fashion, we'd love for you to unmute and say thank you in your native language to our speakers. Thank you again, Lennox, Haya, and Francesca. And Brother Jonas for bringing your students.
Thank you. Lennox, I hope to see you in Akose.
Yeah, you're going to be a keynote there, Lennox. I'll be talking to Jonas about that.
Looking forward to it. Jonas, looking forward to it. It's May. I should be available. Yes, fantastic. I'll be available. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Good afternoon. Good morning.
Salama.
Salama.